Okay, I think I fixed the audio. I cannot have that audio that I had for the last time I did it. Sorry, I'm like an amateur trying to figure out this whole YouTube podcast thing for the first time. My name is Eric, and this is Fantasy Football Yoda. I haven't been on since February with Dominique and Steven. I don't even think I posted the Super Bowl predictions. I had the Chiefs winning in a tight contest, and yeah, I went the complete opposite way. So, such as that. But hey, I'm really excited. I know it's August 7th, kind of late putting out fantasy quarterback rankings, but want to get this in. I'm not going to make this as detailed as my first one. Unfortunately, I just don't have the time to do that. So I want to give quality breakdown of the quarterback position for fantasy football. So let's just jump right into it. Okay. So the first guy, I guess I'll start with this. I have five tiers. So five tiers. Um, and each tier, obviously, it gets worse and worse. There's some upside in some tiers. And then by the fifth tier, it's just backup quarterbacks that you'll be drafting. So let's just talk. Let's just get right into it. Number one's Kyler Murray. It's pretty easy. Number one, that offense is completely centered around him. Really, no running back threat. They like Chase Edmonds, James Conner. I don't know. I don't really make too much of that signing. The offense is going to go through Kyler. He's going to be responsible for probably, 85% of all the touchdowns for the Cardinals this season. And that's why he's going to be probably easily over 400 points. I got 700 rushing yards, 8 rushing touchdowns, 33 passing touchdowns, 4,200 passing yards. So, yeah, the defense isn't that great. And I just think there's going to be a lot of shootouts in the West. And yeah, Kyler Murray, clear cut number one for me. Patrick Mahomes is number two. It's his revenge tour. You could tell last year he really wasn't pushed a ton. Like, yeah, they were, snoozing, they were on cruise control a lot of the time last year, and they kind of didn't bring their A game a lot. This season, they want the one seed, they want the home field advantage, they want the easiest path for them to get back to the Super Bowl and avenge their loss. Hopefully, have a healthier offensive line in the Super Bowl. But bottom line is they're going to try to get the one seed. They're going to try to win and blow teams out like they did 2 seasons, 3 seasons ago. Okay. And that's why I have Patrick Mahomes, number two. Josh Allen, that's what I was about to say, number three. You could make the case he's going to be the best. He could be the number one fantasy quarterback this season. I'll circle back around to Patrick Mahomes real quick. So I have 43 passing touchdowns, 4,800 passing yards, and 2 rushing touchdowns. Again, a lot of these numbers that I'm doing, guys, are kind of what I think their floor is, kind of what I think most likely scenario is not their ceilings. So, even with those numbers, those are really good numbers. That comes out to around 400 fantasy points too. And I think there's only been 10, probably less than 10 players ever to get over 400 fantasy points. So to even have Patrick Mahomes and Kyler Murray in that discussion is, one of these quarterbacks is going to get to 400 points. So maybe it's Josh Allen. So let's go to Josh Allen, number three. Just like Kyler Murray, there's really no threat of running back on this team. You have Devin Singletary. He's 5'6", 5'7", not that big. Zach Moss is a bigger back, but I mean, Josh Allen is the goal line running back. I think he's going to get 7 rushing touchdowns. The offense is going to go through him. I wish he had a little bit better receiving core to throw to. Stephon Diggs is great. I like Cole Beasley, but I just wish he had a better option, better like one or at least one. Then I might think like, hey, He's number one fantasy quarterback for sure, but gotta keep him three. I got him at 4,200 passing yards, 500 rushing yards, 7 rushing touchdowns, and 33 passing touchdowns. Again, that's really modest for even Josh. So I like that's around 390 points. I think those three guys are the clear cut top tier one quarterbacks for this season. Okay, let's get to the tier two. Tier two, number four, Russell Wilson. So I feel really strongly about this. I already spoke about the NFC West a little bit. I think it's gonna be a lot of shootouts. There's a lot of really good offenses and not a ton of defensive talent. I mean, yeah, the Rams have Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey. I mean, I can't even throw Leonard Floyd in there. I can't do it. They lost a lot. And then Seattle, they have Bobby Wagner, Jamal Adams. Like, that's really it. They have no pass rush, you know? I mean, they'll have to blitz a lot. Um, yeah, so just going off of that, I mean, you could say San Francisco. I mean, there's some talent, but I don't know. My gut hunch is that offenses just have such a huge advantage, and there's gonna be scoring in that division. I just know it. So Russell Wilson, I feel really good about this. He's gonna throw for at least 35 passing touchdowns. So my numbers are 400 rushing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, 35 passing touchdowns, and 4,100 passing yards. So that's around 350 points. He's the first player in tier two, fourth overall. The next player at number 5 overall is Justin Herbert, 23 years old. 22 years old last season. He put up really, really good numbers. So, kind of like the NFC West, the AFC West, I see a lot of shootouts. Kansas City's defense can give up points. They haven't really done anything to make it that much better. And the Raiders' defense is a complete mystery as always. Who knows with them? The Chargers' defense. I mean, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I like Brandon Staley. I like how he gets them to play, more disciplined football this season. They'll be well coached. I just don't think they have the talent to keep up with better offenses. And the Broncos have a really good defense. So, those won't be great matchups for Herbert. But even in those games, I mean, maybe he's able to run it in. So, bottom line, it was kind of difficult for me between Herbert and the number 6 guy, which I will get to shortly. But modest numbers for Justin Herbert again. 4,200 passing yards, 33 passing touchdowns, 200 rushing yards, 3 rushing touchdowns. It's very doable. I mean, very doable. That gets you to around 340 offensive fantasy points. They're running the New Orleans style offense. I think Lombardi, the grandchild of Vince Lombardi, is the offensive coordinator now for the Chargers, and he was with New Orleans and Sean Payton for I don't know, like a long time. Let's just put it that way. So if Lombardi can really get them to move the ball as well as New Orleans has for the last 15 years, I mean, Justin Herbert's a pretty darn good quarterback. I mean, I'm not going to put him in the class of Drew Brees yet, but you could say he has more talent than Drew Brees. Let's see if he has the smarts and the accuracy like Drew Brees had. And then, man, that offense could take off. Love the upside with Herbert at number 5. Number 6 is Lamar Jackson. I think he gets to 340 fantasy points easily. I mean, not much to say here. I do like the Rashad Bateman draft pick. He's pretty legit. Marquise Brown, Hollywood Brown, he needs to learn how to catch the ball better. And you like Mark Andrews. And they have a whole bunch of other wide receivers they drafted recently. So Lamar Jackson isn't a natural passer. He's not. He can pass the football. He's not great at placing the football in accurate windows, but he can throw the football pretty well. Just not at an elite level. So, with all that said, I mean, he's going to get to 340 fantasy points easily. I have him at 7 rushing touchdowns, 950 rushing yards, 2,700 passing yards, and 26 passing touchdowns. So, yeah, I mean, I could see him being 1,000 yard rusher and a 3,000 yard passer like he was his MVP season, and get close to 30 passing touchdowns and close to 10 rushing touchdowns. And hey, he could make a push for the number one spot. It's very possible. Very possible. We'll see. There's upside with Lamar Jackson as well. I guess out of tier two, Russell, Herbert, and Lamar Jackson. I just like Russ at 4 just because I know what I'm going to get with him. I know exactly what you're going to get with Russ. He's going to get to 350 fantasy points. He's going to have a couple big games. I mean, I guess Herbert and Lamar Jackson are too. It's tough. It's really tough between those three guys right there. I mean, put them all in a hat, take a name out, and I'm going to be very happy with them on my fantasy team. All right, let's go to tier three. Tier three, Aaron Rodgers, seventh quarterback overall in my rankings. He's angry. He's very angry. And he wants to prove everybody. He always has a chip on his shoulder. So, yeah, he's going to play well. And he's finally clicking with this offense. Um, they don't have like all the best players around him. Obviously, I mean, everyone knows this. There's no clear number two wide receiver in Green Bay. Despite all that, Matt LaFleur's offense, Aaron Rodgers embraced it, and he put up incredible numbers last season. So I see the same thing happening again. And I think he gets to 40 passing touchdowns, 4,200 passing yards, maybe 2 rushing touchdowns. I think his upside is a little bit capped, being that his receivers aren't the best. They drop passes. They hurt him from him having better stats. So not a ton of upside with Aaron, but he's going to finish the year as a top 10 quarterback. I really don't doubt it at all. All right, number 8, Dak Prescott. He's not that great of a touchdown passer. I don't know if it's because of the receivers he's had there. I don't know if it's because Jason Garrett and Kellen Moore like to run the ball inside the 5 yard line a lot with Dak Prescott, but, also with Zeke Elliott. So, despite not throwing for a ton of passing touchdowns, I still think he gets to 30 passing touchdowns. He throws for a lot of yards. I put it only as 4,300 passing yards. I mean, he was on pace for like well over 5,000 passing yards before he got injured last season. So he could well outperform those numbers. I mean, 30 passing touchdowns, 4,300 passing yards. I have him only at 250 rushing yards and 5 rushing touchdowns. I think he runs a lot in the red zone. I think they have design runs for him there, but I don't think they're going to have a ton of design runs for him for inside the 20 to 20, outside of the red zone. We'll see. I just don't think so. I think they're going to play it conservative. They don't want to lose him again. That would be really tragic. So, modest numbers, lots of upside. I mean, I just don't know how effective. I mean, I'm cautious with guys coming off of injury. That's why he's not in tier two. I have to keep him there. There's no doubt in my mind Dak could finish as a top 3 fantasy quarterback. I just where he's being drafted right now, I would rather go with Russell, Justin, Herbert, or Lamar Jackson over Dak Prescott. And I don't know. Maybe Dak's really seventh in my list, but Aaron's kind of the same way with the tier two guys. You know what you're going to get with Aaron. I have to see with Dak. I mean, he's always dominated lesser competition. That's kind of been the knock on him. He doesn't play well against good defenses. So I mean, we'll see. I still think the verdict's still out on whether or not Dak's really that legit or not. He got a lot of garbage yards last season because that defense was awful the first like 6 weeks. So yeah, enough of Dak. Number 9, Joey Burrow. Joe Burrow. And I think there's a lot of upside with Joe. I have him projected around 335 fantasy points, kind of worst case scenario. 4,500 passing yards, 32 passing touchdowns, 200 rushing yards, and 2 rushing touchdowns. That gets you to around 330 fantasy points. I mean, this is a guy who threw for 60, has the NCAA record. I mean, just think about that, guys. It's just really nuts, man. Like what he was doing, he was like Steph Curry, man. He was like the Steph Curry of quarterbacks. Just, I mean, his touchdowns are like Steph Curry's 3 pointers. I mean, he's throwing touchdowns. You're like, no way, he's not throwing another one. And then he throws another one. You're like, oh my gosh, he threw another one. It's like Steph Curry's like, he's not gonna make that. And then he makes it, and you're just like scratching your head, and you're just like, I gotta keep watching this guy, man. That's what he was at LSU. It was unbelievable, right? So I only have him projected at 32 passing touchdowns. He has Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. I think he outdoes those numbers that I have him at. I mean, that's kind of worst case. I mean, yeah, that offensive line, it's better at pass blocking. I mean, there's still some question marks there, but I mean, it's a little bit of a concern. I like Joe Burrow a lot this season. I'd be fine with having him on my team. Okay, moving on. Number 10, Jalen Hurts. If he actually does start and starts every game this season, I think he's going to be a pretty good fantasy option. I have low numbers for him. I have 550 rushing yards, 7 rushing touchdowns, 3,500 passing yards, and 24 passing touchdowns. And that gets you to 330 fantasy points. That is the power of having a dual threat quarterback for fantasy, because those rushing yards are invaluable. Just having 500 rushing yards can catapult you into the top 10 of fantasy quarterbacks if you have, really pedestrian numbers, really low numbers throwing the ball. 3,500 passing yards. Hurts is a better passer than that. He's not Lamar Jackson. He's a better passer than Lamar Jackson is. 24 passing touchdowns. We'll see. I mean, I think that's kind of his floor again. So lots of upside with Hurts. They have a great offensive line in Philadelphia. They're kind of old. I think they're all above 30 years old, or 4 out of the 5 starters on the offensive line for the Eagles. But they have pretty good backups that got a lot of experience last season. They have a good running back, Miles Sanders. They have good wide receivers. Talent, at least. They have talented wide receivers at worst. And Zach Ertz came back. There's a lot to like about. I mean, everything is set up for Jalen Hurts. Literally everything. Like, even if somebody gets injured in that offense, they're going to be okay. Like, he has a chance to put up some good numbers. He's definitely somebody to keep an eye on. Okay. Kind of like Dak Prescott. Enough of Jalen Hurts. Let's move on. This is now tier 4. Ryan Tannehill. So Ryan Tannehill is my 11th quarterback on the board. I have him around 310 fantasy points. I think he gets there easily. He is 33 years old, so let's see if he runs as much as he has in the past. But he likes to run. He does like to run. So, and they like to run the ball in Tennessee too. But I think he gets around 3,800 passing yards, 30 passing touchdowns, 4 rushing touchdowns, 250 rushing yards. Tannehill is a good fantasy quarterback. He can always, I mean, especially if that Titans defense doesn't figure it out this season and they're still bad, Tannehill is going to be a top 10 fantasy quarterback. No doubt about it. If that defense is giving up points like they were last season. Now, I don't think they will. I think they got more talented. on all three levels. So I don't know. We'll see though, man. The NFL's so crazy. You have no idea what these. I mean, you think you know what a team is in those first like 5, 6 weeks of the season. You're like, holy smokes, man! Like, what the heck is up with this team, or what the heck is up with this defense? What's going on with this play caller? Like, it's a freaking circus. So we'll see. We'll see. Okay, number 12, I got Tua Tagovailoa. I'm optimistic about Tua. There's a lot of upside from tier three and tier four. There's a lot of upside guys in here where you're like, man, they might put it together. I mean, they could. They could put it together. I don't know what happened with Tua last season. He wasn't confident at all. And Alabama, he was confident. I mean, my goodness, national championship game, you get sacked in overtime or yeah, or whatever it was, and you're like at third down and 17, and then the next play after you got sacked and like yelled at like from the sidelines with Nick Saban, you throw the game winning touchdown pass. I mean, that's not what he looked like last year. I don't know what the heck happened with him, man. He looks so unconfident. No idea. He's got talent around him now, and a better, or at least a more experienced offensive line this season. There's talent there, you know, and also there's not a good running game there in Miami, or a running back where you feel, hey, I feel great about this guy. So, man, there's a lot to like with Tua. It's just like, come on, man, you got to put it together. You got to be confident again. I mean, you're looking less confident than Marcus Mariota did when he was playing in Tennessee. So, I got 3,700 passing yards, 25 passing touchdowns, 350 rushing yards, and 6 rushing touchdowns. I feel good about that. I think he gets there easily. I think that's like worst case, honestly. I don't know, and he could really explode. He could be like a 4,500 passer, 35 passing touchdowns with the rushing ability. I mean, there's lots to like with Tua. Tannehill's more of a sure thing. That's why Tua's below him. All right, number 13, Tom Brady. If Tua didn't have the upside, I mean, I don't even know. I mean, you could put Tom Brady ahead of Tua if you wanted. Um, I don't. I mean, they let Bruce Arians likes to throw the ball down the field. There's no secret with that. Tom had a really great statistical season last year. I mean, just a good season, even outside statistics. He's Tom Brady, man. He's 43 last season. He's gonna be 44 years old this season. Yeah, yeah, it's crazy. So, I think there's just a lot of talent there. There's just so much talent. Evans, Godwin, Antonio Brown, Gronkowski, and OJ Howard. I mean, OJ Howard's probably the best tight end on that roster. Remember, he was hurt the whole season last year, except for like 2, 3 games. He's back. They got Giovanni Bernard. They have a pass catching running back. They didn't have that last year. And Leonard Fournette dropped. I mean, he's not the best pass catching running back. He's not awful, but he was their guy. But that's not what Tom Brady's accustomed to. He's accustomed to smaller running backs catching the ball who are shifty. So he's got it now. I think 4,200 passing yards, 35 passing touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns. He does the quarterback sneaks on the 1 yard line all the time. He's going to get a couple rushing touchdowns. And it'll feel good when you have him starting and he gets them. So, yeah, he's 13. I got 14th last player in tier four, Matthew Stafford. I got Stafford at 14. McVay's offense, he could do a lot better than this, but I don't know. I don't think. I mean, I like the wide receiver they drafted last year, the Rams. I forget his name. I think he's from Florida. I like him. I like Cooper Cup. I like Robert Woods, Bobby Woods. I like him. I don't know. I just feel like they still need like a better, more talented wide receiver there, like somebody that's a game changer. But even regardless with all that, Cam Akers is hurt. I do like Darrell Henderson. They'll still try to run the ball. They'll probably run the ball somewhat effectively. because McVay's just, he's a little math genius. Like, he's a football genius. So he'll get to 300 fantasy points. I don't love the upside here, but I still think he gets 4,500 passing yards, 32 passing touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns. Yeah, Matt Stafford, 300, around 300 fantasy points. Okay, so that's the first 4 tiers. The last tier, I'll just read the names off and talk about them briefly. 15, I have Trevor Lawrence. 16, Justin Fields. 17, Derek Carr. 18, Kirk Cousins. 19, Daniel Jones. 20, Matt Ryan. 21, Ben Roethlisberger. 22, Baker Mayfield. 23, Ryan Fitzpatrick. Deshaun Watson is a mystery. I have him at just on the list, just at the bottom of the list. He's not ranked for now. I mean, obviously, if he plays this season, depending on the team he goes to, I mean, he's a top 5 fantasy quarterback, top 7 at worst. At worst. So that is it. Oh yeah, I'll talk about him real quickly. Trevor Lawrence, he has some upside, but I mean, we got to see what he's about. I have him around 300 fantasy points. I mean, he could break out. He could be a nice, stash late round. Justin Field, Andy Dalton's going to start, so I don't know if you want to draft Justin Fields. Just monitor that situation, because once he starts to play, hey, I mean, he's obviously going to be worth something. He probably gets 20 fantasy points. Derek Carr, I like Derek Carr. A lot of people hate on him. I don't know why. He's such a gamer. He's such a competitor. Um, he's a good quarterback. He's a good NFL quarterback at that. So yeah, he's at 17. He'll get to 280 fantasy points easily. Good backup. I wouldn't mind having Derek Carr as my backup. Kirk Cousins. I don't know. Kirk's just not. Kirk had a lot of garbage stats last season. When you put Kirk on a pretty good defensive team, like a lot of his career he has been on, he doesn't throw for a ton of yards. I think the defense is a little better. The Vikings still have some cornerback issues, and yeah, I don't know. I I don't know. I'm not a big Kirk Cousins believer. That's why he's at 18. Daniel Jones, he's a mystery. I'm not taking any risk on him for fantasy. That's why he's 19. Matt Ryan, I don't know. They struggled in the red zone. They always struggle in the red zone. I mean, they don't score a lot of touchdowns. That's why Young Wei Koo was kicking a ton of field goals and like top fantasy kicker last season, right? I mean, yeah, they got Mike Davis. He's a big running back. Todd Gurley wasn't the same last year. I don't know. I mean, you like Pitts and Ridley to hog a lot of production. Outside of those guys, I don't know. Yeah, that's why he's 20th. Big Ben's at 21. They're trying to run the ball in Pittsburgh. That's my team. The owner came down, spoke to the offensive coordinator, like bypass after he told Tomlin and Colbert, he bypassed them just to make sure his point got across. Went to Matt Canada, the new offensive coordinator, was like, "We're running the ball this year." So they're going to try to run the ball this season. I don't think Ben's going to have crazy stats. That's why he's at 21. Baker Mayfield, they're trying to run the ball in Cleveland. They have some, he'll have some nice games, but not nothing that'll make him like a top 12 fantasy quarterback. Yeah, I'm not gonna talk about Ryan Fitzpatrick. I mean, his ceiling's kind of limited for fantasy, and yeah, so that's it. I think the audio is a lot better on this. I'm really excited. I'm looking at the Audacity timeline. It looks really clean, so that's exciting. Guys, thanks for listening. Please share, tell a friend. I do a lot of studying. I do a lot of research on every team, almost, or pretty. I mean, every player. Yeah, I mean, I look at every player on the depth chart, even on the defenses. I've watched football for such a long time. I know these teams almost inside and out. A lot of these teams inside and out. So these rankings, I'm telling you, they're legit. The guys I'm high on, the guys that have upside, target those guys late in your in your fantasy draft, and you'll have a really good quarterback. So yeah, leave a comment, follow us on YouTube, follow us on our podcasts, and yeah, I'm excited for the season. I hope this quarterback rankings helps you guys out a lot. All right, see you on the next episode.